Greetings, everyone. It's great to be with you once again. Thank you for everything you do by way of learning and growing and maturing and being of service and going into the deeper understanding of life. Our presentation today is entitled On the Laws of Life, 17. People well trained in a trade or profession are highly proficient in a line of work or task, have mastered certain laws and demonstrate them continually in fulfilling their duties. Likewise, students of life and mysticism need to understand and apply a wide range of laws and principles in accomplishing a full range of duties and creative expression for their mission in life and all the lines of service that they are called to do in growing and maturing daily. In this regard, I want to share with you some images that will help with our understanding of this topic. I know many of you much appreciate the Rosicrucian artist and renowned figure, Nicholas Roerich. We see before us a work of his that's entitled She Who Leads. Now, Nicholas Roerich was a Russian painter, archaeologist, writer, poet, and world traveler. He was also a promoter of peace, mystic and Rosicrucian. In regard to a promoter of peace, we know that through the Treaty on the Protection of Artistic and Scientific Institution and Historic Monuments, also known as the Roerich Peace Pact, with a distinctive banner of peace that he was instrumental in developing, that continues to this day to uplift humanity and take humanity into a deeper appreciation of the arts, the science, and spirituality. By way of introduction in our work here, we'll take a look at the deeper beauty of this work that's before us. We see a mountain setting there that rise up above us. There are two figures that are climbing up the mountain. In a way, we'll climb up the mountain shortly as well as part of our ascent to the heights of the celestial sanctum for our meditation period. In this work, you'll see various beautiful subdued colors. It's very attractive work. It's tempera on canvas. It's a work that's in the Roerich Museum in Moscow, Russia. And it dates from around 1943 to 1944. And She Who Leads also recognizes the deep importance of the feminine understanding of mysticism, the feminine appreciation of mysticism, and various women figures that have been great teachers. Also, we see this in goddesses and also in various spiritual traditions that Roerich was part of. But there's an equal sharing of all genders on the mystic path. And here's a figure that's helping one to ascend, like us ascending the mountain. That is, the mountain, of course, is a long-time spiritual symbol of the spiritual path, the mystical path, the growing and understanding and evolving of consciousness. There's a high vantage point of the mountain to see where we've come from, but also looking up for where we're going to. In this regard, various laws and principles are being applied that we'll expand on in this presentation. But one is the law of cosmic attunement, the high vantage point that we'll apply in our meditation is also being conveyed in this mountain. Roerich with his family members, for example, his two sons and his partner, Helena Roerich, who was an inspired mystic and writer and masterly figure in her own right. He had contact with various spiritual traditions of the world. They were very inclined towards Buddhism, but in their travels in India, they had contact with various spiritual traditions of the world, Hinduism, Sikhism, Jainism. Also with Nicholas Roerich's background, he had various knowledge of Slavic shamanism, various expressions of the Christian church, including the Russian Orthodox Church. However, I hasten to add the Rosicrucians are not a religion, but we deeply appreciate various spiritual traditions, and the Rosicrucian teachings that we study weekly help us understand all in a deeper, more unified manner. And these are the lines on which Nicholas Roerich are working along. And I think you're sensing as you look at this work. So let's begin our meditation period. And we'll develop this theme more on the laws of life. I invite you to, you may wish to keep your eyes open for a while. We look at this inspiring painting, but just concentrate on your breath, the great incoming and outgoing of the breath. The law of vibration, everything manifests through vibration. Mystics have known that down through the ages, but we also know it through recent developments in physics. And our breath is like essentially a vibration as well. The work of art before us, we can see it through vibrations in our receptor senses, the eyes. And if it's comfortable for you and you concentrate on your breath, I invite you to breathe a little deeper than usual. And feel all the more vitality. Rosicrucians refer to as the vital life force, or the acronym VLF. As through the law of polarity, we now is positive polarity to cosmic essence. You see, we're applying many laws knowingly and indirectly. I invite you to extend your exhalation longer than your inhalation to the degree comfortable. You may wish to follow the musical octave of the ratio of 1 to 2 for the duration of your incoming breath and duration of your outgoing breath. What's comfortable for you? What's particularly valuable is that with that extended exhalation longer than inhalation, there'll be the relaxation effect. There'll be the stimulation of the great vagus nerve that works with the autonomic nervous system and its great polarities, or the law of duality, the law of polarity, the sympathetic and parasympathetic systems. As we balance the autonomic nervous system more, we come more and more into a state of enlightenment, suggested by the painting before us. If you haven't closed your eyes already, I suggest you do so, and just enjoy the gentle rhythm of your breath. And this breathing exercise applies the law of purification. It helps charge us and move us up into higher and higher rates of vibration and octaves on the cosmic keyboard. We learn as Rosicrucians to play like a master pianist. Whatever situations in life demand or necessitate, we know which octave to play to bring about harmonium or harmony on all levels of our being. Let's continue to enjoy the gentle rhythm of the breath. Part of the mastery of life is the mastery of the breath. Whenever in life we're feeling anxious or overwhelmed, let's return to a concentration on the breath, particularly extending the exhalation longer than the inhalation. The sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous systems, applying the law of duality, a law of polarity, like two handlebars on a bicycle as we ride down a street. Just as one shifts the left to right handlebar to move around things or make turns, so in our life, we work with the sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous systems to guide us through life. And they form by the law of unity a whole, a unity that we aim to come into deeper and deeper understanding of for our well-being. Not only in recognition of the autonomic balance through unity, but experience all life as a great unity, a great oneness. Now let us further apply the law of purification, applying the following prayer and invocation, which I invite you to say with me now. May the divine essence of the cosmic Infuse my being and cleanse me of all impurities of mind and body, that I may enter the celestial sanctum and attune in pureness and in worthiness. So mote it be. Now I'll apply the instructions of the Rosicrucian meditation booklet, Liber 777, which I'll give you resources on later. I invite you now to sense or picture yourself rising up from wherever you're situated in your home, your office, or some other building. This great inner spiritual force to see yourself rising up over the building, over your neighborhood, over your local geographic area, or town, or city. Rising upward, enjoying the beauty of the ascent and the expansive view below. And see now the surrounding county where you dwell, and the weather systems and the water systems and the landforms as we continue to rise higher and higher, now above our province or state, and going faster and faster using great inner spiritual force. We sense ourselves rising up over our great nation or country. And now taking in our continent and even the hemisphere where we dwell. And now the entire beautiful blue jewel of the earth, rotating about its axis with its great white satellite, the moon, revolving about it. As we look up, we see other planets, their beautiful elliptical orbits, and the great fiery ball of the sun, our local star. As they pass higher and higher, sense the wonder and beauty of it all. Out past the outer reaches of our solar system, traveling higher and higher, faster and faster, way beyond the speed of light. As we transcend space and time and enjoy this exhilarating ascent. And let us apply the law of correspondence, as above, so below. As we rise higher and higher into the cosmos, we'll go deeper and deeper within ourselves, to the very presence of the divine within. Let us continue to travel with great rapidity past myriad stars, and quasars and pulsars and black holes, helping balance the universe, and nebula, the cosmic web connecting the stars, galaxies. As we pass out from our Milky Way galaxy, our local home and its great arms, we see below us in a spiraling pattern. Feel the exhilaration of the ascent as we move from the finite plane to the infinite plane, mirroring each other through the law of correspondence. Rising higher and higher, faster and faster by myriad stars and nebula and other galaxies. And sensing increasingly what Rosicrucians refer to as the cosmic, the universal intelligence back of the cosmos, and all natural and spiritual laws that we're discussing today. As we rise higher and higher, we sense that the universe and its great system and order, the great music of the spheres, the harmony of the spheres, which inspires artists back on Earth and throughout the cosmos. We may even sense now that the universe is rotating about a great cosmic axis spoken of since ancient times by mystics and philosophers. This stupendous harmony and order. As we travel faster and faster, you may sense the presence of a great cosmic axis. And when you sense it move towards its midpoint, and when you reach it, slow up, and we'll be at the very center of the cosmos, the center of our being, at the heights of our celestial sanctum. We'll dwell in meditation now, following the instructions of the booklet Liber 777, as mentioned earlier. You may wish to sense or picture or mentally create an inspiring temple back on earth, or simply the temple of the divine all around us, or maybe an inspiring place in nature back on earth, like a seashore or a lake shore, the waves lapping in, or a sacred grove, or a high vantage point on a hill or a mountaintop with its inspiring, expansive view. Fill in the sights and sounds, all the sense impressions and the psychic impressions, and the overall spiritual exhilaration. You may wish to picture with us those who are on this conference call with us now, the visible and invisible masters, the Grand Lodge and Supreme Grand Lodge officers of the Rosicrucian Order Amark, conducting a sacred convocation, a ritual at the heights of the celestial sanctum. Let us continue to fill in our mental creation or visualization. May you wish to draw on your memory of other spiritual experiences, vitalize and spiritualize this mental creation. And when you're ready, you may wish to release your mental creation or visualization, saying, if it pleases the cosmic, it is done. Now let us apply the law of silence and dwell in the presence of the divine within. If you find your mind wandering, just lovingly and gently bring it back to the discipline of the breath, the incoming and outgoing breath. As we dwell in our celestial sanctum. And just feel all there is to feel. Meditation is a profound act of non-avoidance. Whatever may arise, take note, but then return back to the discipline of the breath. Centered on the master within, the heights of the celestial sanctum. Now, as we apply the law of attunement, particularly its special form is the law of cosmic attunement. Attuning with the cosmic, sensing the presence of our inner self, a true master and guide in life, also referred to as the divine within or the master within. We'll soon prepare ourselves for further spiritual operation of the work and worship of the Rosicrucian Order Amark. Let's continue to apply the law of cosmic attunement and the law of unity, to be one with the one, in the very presence of our true guide in nature, the divine within. I now invite you to participate in the work of the Silent Council in conjunction with the Council of Solace of the Grand Lodge of the Rosicrucian Order Amorc. Let us send from the depths of our being radiations of love and well-being to all those who petition the Grand Lodge of the Rosicrucian Order Amorc for guidance and healing, and all those who have petitioned to the bodies of the Rosicrucian Order Amorc for guidance and healing. And let us radiate love and well-being to all those you know are in need of guidance and healing. And finally, let us radiate love and well-being to all sentient beings throughout the cosmos who are in need of guidance and healing. Just let the love and well-being radiate out from you like a great spotlight, sending its rays out, fill the cosmos, reaching all in need, coming out from the depths of your being, your mind, and your heart at great rapidity, just like we rose up to the heights of the celestial sanctum at great rapidity. Picture the love and well-being spreading out throughout the cosmos. Feel it flowing out from you. A great radiation. At a certain point, I think you may find that the radiations of love and well-being will even speed up, and you know you're reaching those in need. And at a certain point, I think you'll find you need to make less and less conscious effort for the radiations of love and well-being to continue. And when that happens, just simply let go and surrender to the process with the divine within, applying the law of service. Soon we'll formally conclude this period of sending metaphysical aid, assured that the radiations of love and well-being will continue from the depths of our being, from the divine within, as a way of life and as part of our mission in life. Formally conclude this period of radiating love and well-being and remote healing. I invite you to say with me now, if it pleases the cosmic, it is done. So mote it be. And let us continue to dwell the heights of the celestial sanctum. We continue our meditation period and period of cosmic communion. Let us apply the law of assumption and the law of cosmic attunement together. Picturing our mind as the cosmic mind. Let us experience as the cosmic mind experiences. Let us be the cosmic. Let us assume the cosmic now. Let us be one with the one. Soon we'll begin our descent from the heights of the celestial sanctum. But I invite us now to apply the law of gratitude that intensifies the application of the law of cosmic attunement that we've been applying. We may wish to extend our thanks to all those who have taught us well, to all those who have loved us well, to all those who have sacrificed well on our behalf. And the example they set for us to emulate through the guidance of the divine within. Let us begin our descent from the heights of the celestial sanctum, taking with us this cosmic attunement. Moving rapidly past the myriad galaxies, the stellar phenomena, and the nebulae, enjoying the exhilaration of the descent way beyond the speed of light as we continue to transcend space and time, sensing the great harmony of the spheres, the music of the spheres, its ennobling, enriching beauty and wholeness. As we see in the distance the great spiraling arms of our home, the Milky Way galaxy, let us plunge into the great arm where we dwell, past myriad stars and nebula, quasars and pulsars and black holes balancing the universe, planets and comets and asteroids. And we see in the distance the great elliptical orbits, the planets of our solar system, and the sun, our local star, and the temple of the earth. So we return to it in the hemisphere where we left off, a continent where we dwell, our great nation, our country, our province, our state, our county, our local geographic area, our town or city, and now our neighborhood. And invite you to say with me again, following prayer and invocation before we close. May the God of my heart sanctify this attunement of self with the celestial sanctum. So mote it be. And let's continue to send back on the building where we left off. In the room where we left off, now we're situated, feeling enriched, remade, re-energized, and rested. Feeling increasingly the presence of our true guide in nature, the master within. When you're ready, I invite you to open your eyes, and you may wish to stretch. Feel the unity of the holy temple of the body with the mighty master within. Thank you, everyone. We'll come back to this painting by Nicholas Roerich in a way all the more appreciative of it, or in a way we've enacted what it depicts. And we can see she who leads is like unto our master within, our divine within. We have this divine figure, which is our true nature. In a way, it's like we're seeing here the outer nature, kneeling before the inner self or the divine within, and being nature being guided by the divine within, the great ascent and growing up in life that is mysticism. In this regard, let us continue on our meditation experiences and elucidations in the presentation. We'll see before us now another work by Nicholas Roerich, very intriguing one. It's entitled The Forefathers, but also could be translated as the four parents or human ancestors. And you'll see the law of duality being applied there. We have a darker foreground with a lit background that gives us a great sense of moving out from the foreground out into the midground and out into the expansiveness of the background. Again, with the higher viewpoint of hills and vantage points that we applied. Intriguingly, you'll notice that we see 6 black bears around a central human figure playing a special pipes or flute. In a way, the bears are charmed or experience a great harmony of the playing of the flute. In a way, this has to do with a legend that Nicholas Roerich in his travels and his growing up contacted. As an archaeologist, he was very interested in traditions of the past and how they inform us and our foundation, or where to know where we've come from, but to know who we are and where we're going. It's suggesting too also the Rosicrucian principle and associated laws of harmonium, the harmony with our inner nature. Harmony brings out a degree of ecstasy, but harmony with all of the unity, harmony with all that goes on in our system of our body, harmony in our relations, beautifully depicted here. The humanity needs to see itself as a fellow creature, or as a creature, and one that helps live to protect and do right by. It's a very soothing picture. He's using very effectively the colors that we learn about in our Rosicrucian teachings. This wonderful, bright, almost lime, bright green that we see there. The purples and mauves are very soothing. The black bears, done with the black, they have a deep sense of spiritual presence to us. And the life force that is imbued in all creatures. Just like we learn through the Rosicrucian law of ontology, that everything comes into living manifestation by its first breath, being charged by the vital life force. In a related way, we see here another wonderful work by Nicholas Roerich. He was a prolific artist. This one, you'll see sometimes entitled Saint Procopius the Righteous, Prayer for Traveling People. Sometimes simply translated as Procopius the Righteous, praying for unknown travelers. You see he has his hand raised in benediction for those passing by the river, that they have safe journey, bon voyage, that they will be dealt with and handled well, and their lives will be enriching. You see, in a ways, applying similar to what we did when we radiated love and well-being to all, and do it in a way as an unknown to those that are unknown, applying the law of impersonality. So too with Procopius and the legends associated with him, who is said to be a great protector through the expansion of his Rosicrucians would know of his aura, but also through his deep sensitivity that comes through prayer and meditation to be able to see into the future and what have premonitions and be protective for that reason, but also how to change them through various laws and principles, what's coming forward. But you see a deep appreciation of others and a sense of oneness with them to the law of unity, but also a great expression of the law of love, is compassion for all others, for their well-being, just like we're called to be. In a similar way on this, I've mentioned various laws and principles we discussed about this work already, but you'll see going in a clockwise fashion, there's the cosmic attunement of this profound mystic figure, his sense of oneness that Nicholas Roerich has greatly presented to us, but also the law of transmutation to develop in more and more saintly features, or develop more into what Rosicrucians refer to as the rose-quartz state. We're called to be transformed. We're called to be identified with the divine within. We're called to be polishing or transforming or transmuting. The mirror is our soul personality that reflects the one soul. There's a law of balance that's so important in this life, and I could mention various points. I'll mention some of them. But in this artwork, you'll see how it's very balanced and calming. There's a sense of the foreground, the midground, and the background of the darkness and light. We also see the law of gratitude to be able to be of service, to be able to learn and to grow, as this Procopius did in his own life. There's also the law of compensation that you may know as law of karma, or law of cause and effect. That everything that we do, no matter what we think, how we act, it will come back to us for greater harmony or otherwise. It may be thought, well, we can think whatever we want, as long as it doesn't be known to others. But even in that, we know that thoughts are things, and others can pick up on our thoughts, particularly when we have increased sensitivity through our Rosicrucian exercises, particularly centrally the period meditation that we do and practice daily. It makes us increasingly sensitive. It also gives us the strength to know what to do, how to handle and channel that sensitivity. We see, of course, the law of polarity and law of duality of the mention of early in this presentation, in the sense that we have the high ground and we have the lower ground. We have the land and the water. We have the light imbuing all things, and the contrast of the colors, yet forming a unity by the law of unity that we applied in our meditation period. There's a law of transmission through this saintly figure and mystic that he's been taught down through the ages by his foreparents and the spiritual tradition that he takes part in. And even his benediction and his prayer for others is a way, a transmission to help spiritualize them in their lives. We see, of course, the law of vibration as we move up around the picture. The very act of seeing this picture and creating it before eyes in our receptive centers, but also the law of vibration as this mystic is sending out his metaphysical aid and his prayers to those in need. We see the law of suggestion in many ways, but one of them is just the very fact that we have before us a scene that was painted by the masterful mystic Nicholas Roerich, that in a way we can also sense by suggestion that we're actually in that scene. We're on that high ground. We're experiencing with the saint. We're having his experience and the experience of the travelers around us. We see the law of change, of course, that one can never step in the same river again, that there's the trans movement that is through our lives, and we have to accept the great cycles of life. We see the law of humility, because in this we see a oneness with those around us and our surroundings. And there's an openness to learn and grow, but also to give back to others and being very mindful and thoughtful. The law of purification, because even just applying prayer purifies us, but also suggested by this highly spiritual figure and his masterful way of life is purifying to experience, as well as we sense the deep oneness and attunement of the artist, Nicholas Roerich, that helps enliven us and purify us. And as we mentioned earlier, the law of ontology, that everything with its first breath as a creature is brought in to become a living being in the picture that we see before us. In a way, by the law of analogy, the master artist, in a way, has imbued this work with as a breathing, living entity for us. In a similar way, let us take a look at this final painting that you may be quite familiar with. Again, by Nicholas Roerich, and is entitled "Glory to the Hero." Dates from 1933, and it's tempera on canvas. And you can see it, as maybe you have already, at the Nicholas Roerich Museum in New York City. It appears to us as a die pitch, or appears like similar to two-paneled work, a very contemplative left side, and on the right, a very active side that we need to balance through law of polarity. We need to have the contemplative and the meditative life to know more deeply express our actions and understandings expressed by the knight. And just as the Rosicrucian order is an order of knighthood, we're called to be knights in our own way, in our own time, where knighthood is needed as much as ever. And we see this in the expression of moral chivalry. The figure appears to be Joan of Arc, or similar to her, one of the great mystics of the Middle Ages, one of the great knights, the greatly uplifted France and humanity. We see too in this work many laws and principles that I've been mentioning already, but let's go through them now. And I'll mention some of the factors, but you can think as we go through them many ways that these laws are being applied in addition to what I'm explicitly saying. We have the law of love, because both in the figure that appears to be a monastic, a nun, or deeply spiritual, in the deeply spiritual life, we have that in a way as one who prays and one who radiates love and well-being, works to uplift oneself, but also those of others. But also in the figure of the divine or spiritualized knight, we have the action of the key note of knighthood being unconditional caring, which must be known and expressed through the law of love. And by the next law beside the law of cosmic attunement. The work itself draws us into the experience of the cosmic. Again, we see the law of vibration through the various octaves and associated with the colors and the movements. We also see the law of vibration through the cycles of the monastic life, usually sevenfold. But also see it in the law of vibration through the movement of the horse, just like through our breath and our walking. We note too that the law of patience is always with us, and as Nicholas Roerich would have in creating his work and developing into his highly developed artistry, coming all at once, but also the law of patience and growing and learning in life, just as this the knight and the monastic figure suggest to us gradual development of learning and growing up, just like we need to be patient with our weekly monographs. Soon we've found that a great edifice has been founded and laid within us. There's the law of receptivity, or the law of obedience, that in being a part of an order of knighthood or a spiritual order, there's a degree that one has to be obedient to their laws and the rules for our own benefit, but always applying the obedience to the master within, the divine within, most fundamentally. And the law of receptivity, to learn from others, learn from our monthly or weekly lessons, but also the receptivity to the divine within, our true nature. We're increasingly soaking up like a sponge soaks up water, or an iron in a fire really takes on the increasing heat and as it changes colors. We see the law of polarity and law of duality, again, by the very fact of having a die pitch, the left and right sides, and their distinctive actions of the contemplative meditative life and the active life, both needing each other, both enriching each other. But there are unity. There are one, we're one with the one in our meditation. There's a sense, the experience of life is true as a past, present, and future, within and without. But ultimately, we come into deeper understanding and application of these laws the Rosicrucian laws and principles, we experience it as a unity, being one with the one, that we're still experiencing as a momentum from our period of meditation. There is the law of resistance too. For example, you do a work of art like this or to develop spiritually. We're tried and we're tested. But that's to show our sincerity. And there's a law of concentration. We must stay on task. Fortunately, meditation builds our concentration so we can stay on task. It's really thought by in psychology that people have their mind wandering about 50% of the time, but we'll find through our Rosicrucian studies, our meditative practice, the Rosicrucian exercise, we'll be able to increase that 50% to much higher, 60%, 70%, 80% higher. We can stay on task. Just like the master artist had to concentrate to convey what he wanted in his picture, to convey his cosmic attunement to us. Law of creativity, of course, in the expression of the creative work of the artist, but also stimulates our own creativity as meditation does. There's the law of respect, a law of dignity that's to be given to all people, just like in knighthood, its chivalry and caring must be drawn forward. There's a law of transmission again, with the teaching of a spiritual order or a spiritual form of knighthood. The law of service and the prayers are suggested by the spiritual figure, but also by the law of service of the knight, making it the center of what all one says and does. The law of impersonality, in the sense that the work is not just about us, whether it be this painting or whether it be the different actions of the two figures here, that they're transcending themselves, just as we transcended space and time to go more deeply into ourselves. We also have the law of the triangle, which you may have heard is the law of manifestation, the law of perfection. Nicholas Roerich, the artist, would have had in mind and visualized, like we did in our own visualization of the celestial sanctum, this work of art, and then would have manifested it. And even those would be enriched by it. The law of suggestion is in many ways in it. For example, we have a two-dimensional work here that's radiating light, but it suggests that we can actually move in and experience as these two spiritual figures have, be in their presence in this medieval setting. There's also the law of attraction, in the sense that we're very attracted to this work. It helps encourages us in spirituality, for example. But also the law of attraction is applied in many ways in our life. Just like we visualized, by that we help, by the law of triangle or manifestation, enter into the celestial sanctum. Finally, there's the law of correspondence. There's that great sense of as above, so below. This work in a way applies, as we said earlier, the law of analogy, that it suggests to us not only that literally a monastic setting or a medieval setting with a knight, but also what we're called to do in our own lives. And also, in a way, the work depicts an order, just like a mandala or a sacred diagram, that we're trying to achieve in our own life. This and many other things I think you've been thinking as we see this work. Let's come back to it again, in its full way, in its inspiration, as we take it in. Applying a lot of gratitude to the Rosicrucian order, among the great teachers of this artist that we saw here. Before we conclude, though, I'll invite Karen at this time to post in the chat for you the resources. We'll go into paste, but also to upload for you the resources as a PDF document. I think in the latter form you may find the easiest to obtain. Now, in conclusion, I'll mention again that people well trained in a trade or profession or highly proficient in a line of work or task have mastered certain laws and demonstrated them continually fulfilling them in their duties. Just like, for example, the mystic Nicholas Roerich and all that he said and did. Likewise, students of life and mysticism, such as ourselves, need to understand and apply a wide range of laws and principles in accomplishing the full range of duties and creative expressions for our mission in life, and all the lines of service that we're called to in growing and maturing daily. In this way, we've continued to explore Rosicrucian laws and principles and increasingly realize the deeper meaning, richness, and fullness of life that is always available to us. Thank you, everyone.